When we were talking the other day, expressed concerns about the school system in the city of Amsterdam. What are some of your concerns? What do you think could be better?
It's a difficult situation. Again, we have in the schools a language barrier. We have a population that is at or below the poverty level, a significant population. And so we need to continue to grow the programs that help capture some of these most vulnerable youth that don't have maybe the support at home that many kids have. The Magnet program, BOCES. There is even another program where they're allowing kids to go into almost like an internship to learn a trade and getting credits, and even can earn enough credits to get an associate's degree. So those kind of programs we really need to support, to expand and grow, so that we want to get a graduation rate where people are graduating. We can't continue to be as far down the ladder as we are, because what happens is they come out of school, they're not finishing school, so you're not employable, and again you may have a language barrier, so it's very difficult to employ those people, so they go on to public assistance, and the cycle just continues.
How is the Roman Catholic school system doing in the city of Amsterdam? We have St. Mary's and St. Stanislaus. The bishop has been closing some Catholic schools in the diocese. What about the future of those schools? How's enrollment?
I think it's year to year. I mean, I think they're doing well right now. I'm not familiar with their budget or their enrollment numbers. I know St. Mary's appears to be healthy, the school. So we hope that continues, because the options, we all should be presented with many options. You know, we lost the Bishop Scully Catholic High School years ago, and the more options we give our youth, their parents, the better the community would be. So we would hope that those remain intact, and again, give people the option to send their kids to a private school if they wish to.
We were talking the other day, you expressed concern about city finances in Amsterdam and the amount of debt the city of Amsterdam has right now.
It's a very big concern, and I think as I go door to door or I speak with people face to face, that's one of the two big issues. Is we have now been in this dark room for like 7.5 years, where we don't have an accurate portrayal of what our finances are. And there's been changeovers with one controller did pass away when he was in office. That left a gap. And then we have the current controller. So he is trying his best to get things together, but this has gone on far too long. And we need to do whatever we need to do to address it. Because at the end of the day, if we don't know how much money we have, how do we know where we can grow, what we need to do? How do we present a factual budget that it has real numbers in it? So that is absolutely critical to me, and I think to a lot of the taxpayers, that we get this straightened out.
Has the New York State Comptroller expressed concern about the finances of Amsterdam?
Yeah, we've been on the stress list. We're one of the areas, one of the communities that are on the fiscally stressed list. We're behind in our AURs. We just did, I believe, 13-14. That's been audited. We still have to do 14-15, and now we're in really budget year 15-16. So we have a lot of work to do, and it has to get done, because I liken it to, a person being dropped in a dark room, and you're using the wall to try to find the light switch and nobody's finding it. So we need to really get that taken care of, so that we can move forward knowing whether it's how bad it is, and then make the necessary adjustments to do the corrections. I don't know how we can formulate a plan, a master plan, without knowing what our finances are.
Do you have some ideas on how you would address the debt issue or the financial crisis in the city of Amsterdam?
I think we have to be more responsible in what we bond for and what we borrow for and what we plan for. And one issue is we have allowed buildings such as a public safety building, City Hall, DPW, to fall into such disrepair that we just recently borrowed $3 million to have to make these repairs. So the question begs, why wasn't this cared for throughout the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years? Why was this not, we put a Band-Aid on City Hall for $80,000, and there's like $500,000 worth of work that needs to be done. So I think planning and then bonding for what you really need to bond for, and moving forward responsibly and putting our needs before our wants, I think is a critical area where we have also failed.
You were telling me the other day that you feel there's a lack of team spirit or esprit de corps in the city of Amsterdam. How did that come to be, and what are you going to do to alleviate it?
Well, I think it's been borne out, and if you read editorials both by the Schenectady Gazette and by the Amsterdam Recorder, there has been discord, and there has not been an atmosphere of teamwork presented by both the mayor and the council and the controller's office. For us to be successful, for any mayor to be successful, you have to utilize and encourage communication with the council. After all, each council member, I believe, represents somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,700 people. So to just disregard one or two of them is saying like those 3,700 people don't matter. And I really don't believe that this should be a problem for me. From my background and from where I came from, doing interviews with some people who have committed the most heinous acts, to be able to sit there and hold their hand and have coffee with them, I think that I can definitely get along with a common council over an issue. Put personalities aside and really do what's best for the city of Amsterdam, and that's truly been lacking. There's a lack of communication, there's a lack of leadership, and there's a lack of teamwork. And I think that's really hurt us, especially over the last 2 to 3 years.
Now, you were telling me the other day that Amsterdam does not need an ambassador. It needs someone to monitor the day-to-day operation of the city. You want to elaborate on that?
Listen, it's great to wave the flag and invite people into our city. We all want to be able to do that. But for me, the responsibility of the mayor, we have a $30 million budget. We employ some 200 plus employees. I think it's imperative that the mayor oversee the day-to-day operations of the city. That's how I feel. I believe that is the number one function of the mayor, to provide strong leadership, accountability at every level, which means accountability at department head level right up through to the mayor. And so I think that's been lacking. And for us to grow and become more efficient, that has to occur.
Of all the issues that we've been discussing today, what do you think is the biggest problem in the city of Amsterdam that needs to be addressed, and how would you rectify it?
I think there's actually two, because they're equally as important, and one conflicts with the other. Financially, we have to know where we are. It's just imperative that we have to know what our actual debt is, because it could be, I don't have the actual figures, I don't know if anyone does, somewhere between 26 million and 33 million. That number has grown from 12 million when this administration took over to where we are now. We've added some $9 million to our budget over the last 7.5 years. So financially, we have to be able to get better. And blight. And that's why I say one conflicts with the other, because it's an expensive process to incur and assess homes and have to either tear them down or try to make either a pocket park out of it. There are very limited options when a home is fallen into such disrepair that you can't sell it. And what happens is you're treating it as an asset in your budget, and you're guaranteeing school taxes and county taxes on a dead piece of property. So it's imperative that we correct that.
Now, Hurricane Irene in 2011 did a lot of damage to the city of Amsterdam. I guess Sky Park Manor still hasn't completely recovered.
Yep.
Is Amsterdam more equipped in 2015 to handle something like that than they were 4 years ago?
Well, I know they have addressed some of those issues, especially in that area. We have always had problems in the west end of the city with water, and now actually the two businesses that were most affected on that one street, there are others throughout the city, but taking just that section of town where Guy Park Manor is and then going west, those businesses are now gone. One has been torn down and the other is out of business. I know they have made adjustments working with the state. As far as our inner city, what we've done, they have done some work with infrastructure work. So are we more prepared? I would say yes, we are more prepared. Are you fully prepared? I don't know if anybody ever is for the catastrophes that hit in 2011. So we're on a waterway. You know, we have creeks, we have the river, so we're vulnerable in certain locations, low-lying areas.
Recently, Amsterdam made national news and state news with your new 9/11 memorial at Riverlink Park. Want to talk about that memorial?
It's sad that it took so long to get done, but it's a beautiful thing, and it's in a good location down by the river. I think that when the plane flew over Amsterdam before making the turn to New York City, it's indicative of how important 9/11 is. And I think we all need to take a step back and remember what has happened. And, you know, I'm not going to criticize anyone for why it took so long or why it just happened, but the point is it did happen, it is up, it's a beautiful memorial, and we all respect that. So I'm not going to criticize anyone for the delays or whatever, but I'm glad it got done.
The bridge that's being built right now, which is going to be a walkway, and the 9/11 memorial, you were talking about Amsterdam needs tourism, people come to your city. How would you as mayor try to attract tourists to your city and to see those various items?
And I think it goes back to the blight, really. I think to attract tourism, you have to be attractive. And one of my issues was, I don't know if you're familiar with the whole process of getting the aesthetics for the bridge.
No.
Well, the city did have a $325,000 grant, and the council during budget time did not want to match that grant due to the fact they didn't know how much money the city had. And so the mayor had worked with the state and was able to secure $1 million from Mr. Santa Barbara, and so they got $1 million for the bridge. And my question is, and the 325 is still sitting out there. So my question was, and I don't know how the negotiations took place, but I know I've asked this question and I haven't gotten an answer, is that had we approached the state and said, we have a 325 grant, if we convince the Common Council to match this grant, will you give us $1 million to address the blight? Now you have a win-win, because now you can tear down a number of homes, especially if we partner with Montgomery County and utilize our personnel and their personnel. You can do it for about half the cost. That would have been a win-win. But I don't know if that conversation ever occurred. I don't know. It's just an issue that I have, that we did not satisfy the real needs of the city.